But Trump's sitting on a massive war chest in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know.
If the voters conclude that you're putting your own ego or your own grudges ahead of what's good for the country, they're going to look elsewhere.
Right-wing media is now beginning to turn on Donald Trump following the disappointing result that Republicans had in the midterms. So I'm going to go over some incredible clips showcasing both before the result and also many clips after the result and where they are putting the blame in, what they think some of the solutions are. Starting with here, let's just watch this incredible clip show here of what the right was saying before the result in the midterms.
Be an analyst for a second. Does it feel like a red wave?
It feels like a red wave, Brian.
You know, your predictions of a red wave are accurate.
Somebody made a surfboard, said the red wave is coming.
Red wave rising.
That red wave that I'm convinced is coming.
The reports I'm seeing show a big red wave coming.
Sleepy Joe just guaranteed a red wave in Pennsylvania.
There's a lot of energy on the ground. You probably hear the rally in the background right now. We think we're going to have a big red wave in Michigan.
Wow.
Democrats are bracing for the worst case scenario, a red tsunami.
We are officially on a red tsunami watch.
Sean, we're going to see a red tsunami.
Red tsunami grows.
That means red tsunami.
We're not just going to see a red wave. We're going to see a red tsunami.
Poverty, joblessness, critical race theory, crazy gender ideology in our schools. We are going to see a red tsunami.
And lastly, your prediction for tonight.
I think we're going to have a red wave. I think it's going to be maybe bigger than anyone thought.
On Tuesday, we will be part of a big red wave that says enough is enough.
Up next, Elon Musk ready to ride the big red wave.
Elon Musk tweeted massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
You're about to see a red wave that makes day after tomorrow look like nothing.
That's going to be responsible for the red wave. I think the red wave that's coming is going to be like the elevator doors opening up in The Shining.
Rogan said that the red wave is going to look like the elevator doors opening and the blood pouring out of the elevator in The Shining.
Like the elevator doors opening up in The Shining.
That is correct, except it's not going to be an elevator. It's going to look more like Deep Impact, the tsunami at the end, but colored red.
Remember that Taya Leone Deep Impact disaster movie? That's the red wave tsunami that'll come ashore.
It's going to be a brutal week for the Democrats beginning on Tuesday.
And frankly, I've already DVR'd CNN and MSNBC for election night, not because I'm going to watch, but just because I want to enjoy the tears post-red tsunami.
What happened to the red wave, Congresswoman?
Oh, man. Look, before I even get to the reaction after the midterms, if you are in media and you have a big platform like Fox News, telling your viewers that there's going to be a red wave, doesn't that kind of encourage them to then stay home and not bother to go out and vote because they figure, oh, well, we're going to win anyways. Why should I bother going out to vote? I just don't see how strategically it makes much sense for them, except, of course, you know, for the eyeballs, for the ad revenue, which I guess is what that's all about. But I don't know. But just also worth mentioning, this is as the results were beginning to come in, Donald Trump Jr. a little prematurely tweeted out bloodbath, and apparently didn't tweet. I'm not sure if he's tweeted since, but I know it was at least 24 hours before he tweeted again. So just ridiculous. Now, let's get to the reactions after the results in the midterms. Here is a great supercut put together by Kat Abu, and this is just hilarious.
I can't believe John Fetterman won.
This is, in fact, bad for the Democrats. They're going to misread this as like, oh, we won.
Joe Biden was not punished.
This morning, had there been a big red wave, everybody would be going, blame Joe Biden. Can't say that now.
You can't say that right now.
It's still a win for pro-lifers.
This new generation is totally brainwashed.
When we just owned the libs, we didn't win those races.
This is not a surprise. We knew it would be extremely tight.
Forget the red wave, the red tide, whatever it was, it doesn't matter at this point.
They're always going to spin things against us.
Single women and voters under 40 have been captured by Democrats. So we need these ladies to get married.
All right. Maybe the worst advice that I've seen from the right, but you'll see. they get to, putting the blame on someone in a second here. But Trump. This is Trump before the results of the midterms. This is one of my favorite quotes. I may even put it on the soundboard because it's so perfect. But this encapsulates how Trump operates and his thinking going into the midterms.
You've endorsed more than 330 candidates this election cycle. Tonight, win or lose, the results for Republicans, how much of that will be because of Donald Trump?
Well, I think if they win, I should get all the credit. And if they lose, I should not be blamed at all. Okay.
Come on. No one else could get away with this. Can you imagine Joe Biden saying this? Well, if Democrats win tonight, then I should get all the credit. And if they lose, then I shouldn't get blamed at all. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, can you imagine any Democratic politician saying this? But Trump, because of the character he is, he gets away with saying the most ridiculous shit. And you could argue he's saying, this is tongue in cheek, but he's being serious. Like, this is how he operates. So even if it's tongue in cheek, this is how he thinks. This is how he has his cult of supporters. So this is where we get to the real introspection here. All right, let's start with Laura Ingraham on Fox News. Very interesting comments here, considering she has been a fairly large Trump supporter up until this point.
So going into 2024, the Republicans are going to be looking for candidates who are focused on winning, not just making a point or settling a score. So to really change the country, we're going to have to win, and we have to win over voters outside our traditional base. That means young people, too. That's got to be the goal for the next presidential election. The populist movement is about ideas. It is not about any one person. If the voters conclude that you're putting your own ego or your own grudges ahead of what's good for the country, they're going to look elsewhere. Period.
At what point has the right-wing populist movement, fake populism, has it ever been about ideas? What ideas did Trump have that he implemented? What he was president for 4 years. It was tax cuts for the rich. What ideas? He lied about healthcare. He lied about doing things. But there were no actual real ideas. It was always about Trump. It was always about him as a personality. So for Laura Ingraham to claim it was about something else is just wrong, is just lying. But here, clearly, she is pitting blame on Donald Trump. Clearly, she is talking about how this shouldn't be about one man, one ego. This is obviously criticizing Donald Trump here. Now, the thing, right-wing media has been criticizing Trump forever, before he gets power, before he wins. So, before in 2016, they were all criticizing him. Fox News was criticizing Trump until he won the nomination. Then all of a sudden, massive change of heart. Same thing with recent losses, of people that Trump has endorsed. They put the blame on him. And then all of a sudden they turn around because they realize that their entire base is still with Donald Trump. And if they keep criticizing him, they are very likely going to lose their audience. So I don't know if this time it's going to hold up because of these results in the midterms, but I would be surprised. I think, in a month or so, this will all be forgotten. Trump's still going to have as much support as ever, but I could be wrong. This may be the final straw, but I don't know. Point here from Kurt Bardella saying, from the party that is trying to use the courts to stop student loan debt forgiveness, on the point that Laura Ingraham wants the GOP to go after young voters. You're not going to go after young voters by being bigoted, by being anti-student loan debt cancellation, by not doing anything to actually help people. So young voters lean a lot more on the left. There is no way that the GOP will be able to capture more of them. It's just about getting more of their voters out to vote. But there is a limit on that. Now let's look at Jesse Waters here. So here's his reaction to these results.
This early voting thing, Republicans have to get a handle on. We show up on Election Day, and Democrats show up weeks before Election Day, day after day after day. What's the Republican strategy on early voting? I don't know. Do you?
The right has been criticizing early voting as somehow, stuffing the ballot box or somehow rigged in some way. Of course, Trump, all about, can't trust the mail-in ballots. So this is clearly a rebuke of Trump's line about early voting, mail-in balloting. But also, he goes on here.
McConnell spent close to $400 million on these Senate candidates. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but that is a lot of money. And we didn't pick up a single seat. So either some of these candidates are garbage or the money's not being well spent. But Trump's sitting on a massive war chest in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know.
Here we go. A clear shot at Donald Trump. And it's true. He has all this money that he gets from his supporters. None of it is going to these candidates. It's amazing that they have held on to him this long, but it's only because their viewers are holding on to Trump. Because based on what Trump has actually done for the party, very little. I mean, yes, you could say 2016, of course, that was, the big wave they had. But since then, he is just sucked up all the air, all the money. It's all about him. It's absolutely hurt them in many races. All of the major election deniers, at least as of recording this, all of the major election deniers lost their races. So people that were completely aligned with Trump and all that bullshit, they lost their races. The most extreme Republicans lost, at least in, the races that were winnable for Democrats. So for them to hang on to him this long, I guess we'll see if this continues again, but I would be surprised considering their viewers, their voters are still aligned with Trump. Now let's check out Tucker. So he's, I would say, a little less direct here, a little more vague, but here are his comments.
So what happened? Well, before we give you our theories as to what happened, one obvious point, the people whose job it was to win but did not win should go do something else now. We're speaking specifically of the Republican leadership of the House and the Senate and of the RNC. It's nothing personal. Some of them are no doubt nice people, but they took hundreds of millions of dollars to paint the map red, and they didn't. It doesn't mean they're evil. It doesn't mean they should be jailed. It does mean they shouldn't be promoted. No one should ever be rewarded for failure. If there's a truly conservative principle in life, it's the principle of the meritocracy. You reward excellence. You do not reward mediocrity. And when you do, things fall apart.
So he doesn't appear to be going after Trump just yet, but he is blaming Republican leadership here. And a couple more clips here from Fox News. This is Jeanine Pirro and them realizing, hey, maybe we're not fighting for issues that are popular.
I think what is really disturbing, though, is the fact that most of the country thinks we're headed in the wrong direction.
75%.
75, some said 80%. Mm-hmm. And yet so many people voted on issues that weren't the issues we thought they were voting on. We thought it was all about the economy, inflation, and crime. But as Jessica, I'm sure, will say, it was a lot about abortion. It was a lot about the threat to democracy. And even in spite of that, I think Republicans did very well. Mm-hmm. And I think Kevin McCarthy is to be saluted for, a mission that he's been on for many years.
So mixed messaging there, comparing Tucker to Shapiro. Tucker obviously thinks, based on what we just saw, that McCarthy should not be in that position of leader. Pirro thinks differently and is, coming to the realization here that abortion and the threat to democracy played a much bigger role in the vote than they were letting on, than they were pushing in their press for the past month or so. Now, here is the former RNC communications director. Here are his thoughts, and again, very clear where the blame is being put here.
First to you, Karl Rove writes today, Wall Street Journal, a number of pieces in the Journal editorial page talking about Donald Trump, talking about the results. Here's Rove's take. With no red wave, Trump is out at sea. The GOP fielded too many novices who struggled with crafting a message, raising funds, and waging effective campaigns. Some were also knuckleheads with strange beliefs and closets full of problems. Many of these remarkably weak candidates came courtesy of Donald Trump, who did not vet his endorsements. Do you agree with that point?
Yes. And, we could go back to 2010 and 2012, where we saw a lot of these terrible first-time candidates that caused Senate races to fall by the wayside in Nevada, Delaware, Indiana, Missouri. And this is why Mitch McConnell was warning well in advance that we have a candidate quality problem. But what we've seen is a real intensification of this problem from top to bottom, not just Senate candidates, but House candidates, Secretary of State candidates, and governors and the like. And it's what I call the MyPillowization of the Republican Party. Is we've attracted these more cartoon characters, and if somebody speaking at a rally with a president or a presidential candidate is best known as a pillow salesman, run to high heaven, because you're going to see more of these cartoon characters who are trying to make money off of the party, become Instagram influencers and celebrities more than they are about being serious legislators. There's a reason Madison Cawthorn lost his primary in North Carolina. He telegraphed and said clearly, I'm not serious.
How about that? Another direct shot at Donald Trump. So again, this is just in the aftermath of the midterms. The real indication of if this is going to be, a sustained attack is if we're going to see it become a sustained attack. So if they're going to keep actually attacking Trump continually and propping up DeSantis over him. So I think for a bit they are going to try to do that and try to move their audience. But if they start seeing, the numbers drop in viewership, then they're just going to go back to the same line of kissing Trump's ass. And also worth mentioning, it isn't just Fox News. It's all of media here, all of right-wing media. Here's Candace Owens. Her quote is, "What I am saying is that Trump needs to take a good look in the mirror, and he needs to exercise a tiny bit more humility when he gets something wrong." So this is Daily Wire, further right-wing media, then Fox News, and also criticizing Trump here. Ben Shapiro saying Trump picked bad candidates, spent almost no money on his hand-picked candidates, and then proceeded to crap on the Republicans who lost and didn't sufficiently bend the knee. This will have 2024 impact. Ben Shapiro, big conservative voice, also attacking Donald Trump. But one person, as far as I've seen, is defending Trump. And of course, she is related to Donald Trump. Here's Lara Trump on Fox News.
We need to change course, and we need to do it quickly. So I think if there's ever a time people are ready for Donald Trump to come back, it could be right now. We'll see what happens on Tuesday.
We need to change course, so let's bring back Donald Trump. He never left. He's been here the entire time. How can you possibly claim that, his absence was the reason that the Republicans lost? Ridiculous. But it is wonderful to see this inner fight going on right now. I do think, putting on my right-wing politics hat here, if I was going to be a strategist for them, which I would never, but if I were, it's clear. Yes, they have to move on from Trump, try to bring on Ron DeSantis. But the issue they're going to run into is the base. Is the base going to continue hanging on to Donald Trump? I think a lot of it will depend on the media that they are consuming. And if that media, if it's Fox News, if that media is telling them something different now. So if there is a, universal message here from places like Fox and Daily Wire and even further crazier right-wing media, places like, Newsmax and all their garbage, if they all turn on Trump at once, then I do think that can have an impact, and you could potentially see the shift move towards DeSantis. But if there's still going to be pockets of media that is backing Trump in a big way, then it's going to be hard to turn these voters onto someone new.